So, Chelsea have done it again.
Breaking news this morning out of the Premier League, Chelsea and head coach Enzo Maresca have parted ways. Maresca's 18-month spell at Stamford Bridge comes to an end after a run of just one win in 7 Premier League games has the Blues 5th in the table.
Another manager gone, another reset. And this time it's a name that not a lot of people expected.
I can tell you that Chelsea's sporting leadership team today held talks with the Strasbourg head coach Liam Rosenior, and I'm being told that those talks are ongoing, but they did go very well. Rosenior will be the Chelsea head coach in time for the FA Cup game away at Charlton Athletic on Saturday night.
Liam Rosenior is the new head coach of Chelsea. He's not a Champions League winning legend. He doesn't have a superstar name. He's not someone that Chelsea fans were arguing about 10 years ago. He's a 41-year-old coach who was just managing Strasbourg and will now be standing on the touchline at Stamford Bridge. Now, to be fair, he had visited Stamford Bridge before as a player. Here's him scoring an own goal back in 2006.
Bailey will hoist it in, looking for Drogba. Headed down by Rosenior, forced to Lampard! Oh, it's deflected in! Off Liam Rosenior, I think! And Frank Lampard celebrates in front of the Fulham.
Now, Rosenior is probably more known for the clips of him going around Twitter than anything else. Whether it's people trying to make fun of his team talk,
2-2 when we start the game badly, and just take a 2-2, or even lose the game 3-2. Are we going to show some balls and win the game? Okay, so what's that?
or him glazing Sir Alex Ferguson in a press conference.
I have to say something. This is a big thing for me. My hero in life is Sir Alex Ferguson. And if you understand the history of what he achieved here, I was a Manchester United fan from birth, when normally most people from London are Man United fans.
Or him crashing out against a fan. We have seen more clips of him in recent weeks than ever before. Now, he didn't just fall into this job by accident. The Chelsea owners know him well. You see, Strasbourg is a club that is also owned by Blueco, so Rosenior has been working inside their system, developing young players, coaching one of the youngest squads in Europe, and playing this very modern football, where his team presses high and plays really well.
Yeah, really enjoy watching his sides, like I did with Hull as well. Aggressive, front foot football, really good on the ball, good positional play concepts. So yeah, really excited to see the work he's going to do at this club.
In fact, Strasbourg were actually doing very well in Ligue 1 while juggling European football. But this transfer move wasn't a quiet one. You have Chelsea fans who are confused, you have pundits who are split. Some think it's a very smart move.
I'll tell you what, he's got good knowledge.
Yeah.
He's a very good coach. Look, it's a different sort of kettle of fish with Chelsea, because there's a lot of egos, a lot of bigger players, and you know, it's probably a harder dressing room to run because there is a lot of big players in that dressing room. But if you can get the best out of the players, then you've got to give him an opportunity and get behind him.
Others think it's a disaster waiting to happen.
For me, I think they need some experience in and around the club. If you've got young players out on the pitch, I also think you need an experienced manager so they can look up to him, a bit of grey hair. And it looks like they're going to appoint another young manager again. And I just think young players, young manager, young players need senior sort of authority and experience around them and guidance to know how to... Because this Chelsea team, they're still getting into the Champions League, they're still winning trophies, they're still doing well. But with the money that's been spent, there's an expectation from the owners, I think, that they're going to win the Premier League and they're going to win big trophies quite often. They're not going to do that until they get some more experience. So
the real question is simple. Who actually is Liam Rosenior? Why did Chelsea choose him? And is this the start of something actually smart, or just another chapter in Chelsea's chaos? Now, before Liam Rosenior ever became a coach, before Strasbourg, before Chelsea, his story started the same way that a lot of footballing stories of managers start. As a kid who grew up playing football. He was born in London in 1984. His dad, Leroy, was a professional player and later a coach.
I have to say, I'll probably say 3 people. Firstly, my dad. I was lucky enough to play for him at Torquay. We were promoted. And my dad played a style of football maybe 20 years ago that I believe in still now. He wanted his team to express themselves, to have the ball, and that was in League 2 with a Torquay team with half the budget of the opposition.
So for Rosenior, football was normal. It was a part of everyday life. Tactics, training, matches, all of it. He broke into senior football early. At just 17 years old, he made his first team debut for Bristol City in 2002. In 2003, he scored in the Football League Trophy final and helped Bristol City lift the trophy. For a teenager, that was a pretty massive moment. In fact, it was enough to get a lot of attention. Later that year, Fulham picked him up for a small fee, and suddenly, Rosenior was a Premier League player. At Fulham, he became a pretty reliable fullback, one of those players that the manager really trusted. He wasn't flashy by any means, but he was a very smart player and comfortable on the ball. He actually has talked about how much he enjoyed Fulham trying to play out from the back then because it wasn't normal. He spent 4 seasons there, making close to 100 Premier League appearances. Along the way, he actually had a short loan spell at Turkey, where he played under his dad, which is a pretty rare moment in football. After Fulham, he moved to Reading. He even had a loan spell at Ipswich, where he played some minutes in midfield, showing how versatile he was. But the club that really defined his playing career was Hull City. Rosenior joined Hull in 2010 and played there for 5 years. He was a regular starter and a key part of their team. In 2013, he helped Hull earn promotion to the Premier League, and a year later, he started in the FA Cup final against Arsenal. Hull City didn't win, but reaching that final was one of the biggest moments in the club's history, and Rosenior was a part of it. By the time he left Hull, he had played over 160 league games for them. Overall, across his career, he made nearly 400 league appearances. He also represented England at the youth level, playing for the under-20s and under-21s. He finished his career at Brighton, spending 3 seasons there before retiring in 2018. Now, even while he was playing, Rosenior was always thinking like a coach. Reportedly, he said before that he always saw his playing career as a way into coaching. He took notes, lots of them, reportedly hundreds of pages. He questioned tactics, systems, training methods. Even as a kid, he was helping run sessions and organize teams. So when he retired as a player, he didn't take a gap year. He went straight into what he wanted to do, which was coaching. He stayed at Brighton and took a job with their under-23s as an assistant coach. It was the perfect place to start. Brighton had a good structure, good coaching culture, and they're a club that actually cares about their players' development. Around this time, you also saw him on Sky Sports as a pundit.
His selflessness. Paul Pogba makes players around him worse players because
he was a very calm, thoughtful guy and clearly saw the game differently. But again, TV was never the end goal for him. He wanted to coach senior players. And that chance came in 2019 at Derby County. Rosenior joined Derby as a first-team coach under Philip Cocu. He came prepared, was very detail-oriented, and very good with the players. So when Cocu left and Wayne Rooney took over, Rosenior was promoted to assistant manager. And this is where things really started to move for his managerial career. Working next to Rooney, Rosenior learned fast. He saw the pressures of senior management up close, having to deal with form, injuries, finances, and everything else that comes with championship football. Then in 2022, when Rooney stepped away from the job, Rosenior was asked to take over as the interim manager.
I think Liam is as good a coach, and I'm being truthful on this, I've ever worked with. He's more than capable of going into Chelsea and doing a great job. Liam was so important for me, firstly, when I went into Derby as manager, because I'd never coached. I was doing my badges at the time and I'd never coached, and Liam was incredible in his coaching ability. I was more of the manager and dealing with players and everything. So I learnt a lot from him. Young English managers don't really get that chance, and he's gone and he's worked and he's put the work in, and it'd be great to see him get that opportunity, because I think he'd be very good.
This was a huge moment. Derby were in a tough spot, but Rosenior didn't panic. He kept things very simple, and the team responded well to his tactics. In 12 games, he won 7 and drew the rest, nearly 2 points per game. For a temporary manager in a pretty messy situation, that was honestly pretty impressive, and as a result, people started to take him seriously. A few months later, Hull City came calling, and they decided to bring him back, this time as a head coach. It made a lot of sense. He knew the club from his playing days, the fans respected him, and Hull were struggling badly when he arrived, sitting 21st in the table. Rosenior changed the mood very quickly. He gave the team a proper structure, gave the players confidence, and a clear way of playing. And as a result, the results improved. Their performances improved. By the end of the 2023-2024 season, Hull finished 7th in the championship, just 1 place outside the playoffs. A massive turnaround from where they were when Rosenior first joined. He was even nominated for the Championship Manager of the Year. Not bad for someone who not long before was only an assistant and interim coach. Now, even though Hull later decided to move on, Rosenior had made his mark. He wasn't just a smart former player anymore, he was a proper head coach. After Hull though, Rosenior took a step that surprised a lot of people. He left England and moved to France. In the summer of 2024, he was appointed the head coach of Strasbourg in Ligue 1. And this part matters a lot because, as I I told you guys earlier, Strasbourg are owned by the same group that owns Chelsea. So even back then, the connection was already there. Now from day one, Rosenior did not play it safe. In fact, in his very first game, he named a starting lineup where every single outfield player was under the age of 23. I guess Rosenior is a big fan of child labor. He trusted the young players right away, and he sent a very clear message. If you're good enough, you play. Kind of like Diddy, age is just a number to Liam Rosenior.
The beautiful thing about working with a young group is they're fearless. They've had no negative experience. So they don't go, for example, to PSG away, go, cool, I remember I came here 3 years ago, we got beat 5-0. That fearlessness, that energy, that desire, that growth mentality where they want to go on and achieve great things in their careers. These are all really, really positive things about having a young group, and you have to tap into that. You know, I show my players clips of Bayern Munich or Paris Saint-Germain, of Manchester City, Chelsea, because that's where they want to be. But it's not about young or old. You know, people talk now about young or old managers and modern coaching. It's not about modern coaching. Coaching and management is 90% people skills. It's 10% football.
His strategy worked. Across the 2024-2025 season, Strasbourg played very nice football. They pressed high, they kept the ball well, and looked fearless. By the end of the season, they finished 7th in Ligue 1, which was one of the club's best finishes in years. That league position earned them a place in the Europa Conference League, something that Strasbourg fans hadn't seen in a long time. Because of that success, the club rewarded Rosenior with a contract extension through 2028. At that point, people around European football started paying attention. This wasn't just a nice story anymore, this was a young coach delivering real results, which is exactly why Chelsea didn't see him as a gamble. They saw him as the next step in their plan. Because firstly, he fit exactly what the Chelsea owners want right now. Egbali, Bowley, and Clearlake, they're not looking for the next Mourinho or Conte. They want a coach who's young, ambitious, and easy to work with. They need their coach to be open to being part of a bigger structure. And Rosenior, he checks all of those boxes. People inside the club already liked him. The sporting directors were big fans. They watched his work closely, especially at Strasbourg. And since both clubs are owned by the same group, this was a pretty seamless transition. It was like an in-house promotion. Then secondly, Chelsea's whole project is built around youth, and that includes the manager. Under this new ownership, experience and trophies are not the main requirements anymore. Potential is. Chelsea want a coach they can grow with, not someone who's going to come in with demands and an ego. And once again, Rosenior fits that idea perfectly. He's still very early in his career, he's still learning, but he's very hungry to improve, and that's what Chelsea want. It also helps that he's really good with the young players.
So Liam, I love my ex-coach, so he's amazing. It's hard to say about Liam because he since when I joined Strasbourg, so he helped me a lot. And I improved a lot with him. So in the last 2 weeks I sent message to him because I always watch the game of Strasbourg.
How big a factor was the gaffer Liam Rosenior and you deciding to come here?
I think it's important. I think I was attracted to how he kind of sets up and how he plays. I think what he's got going and his principles and the way he plays, I think that is kind of what I'm used to more of, and it is what I enjoy to do. So I was just very excited and kind of just looking forward to come straight into it.
Like I said earlier, at Strasbourg, Rosenior didn't just play the youngsters, he really trusted them. He made a 20-year-old Diarra the team captain. He gave the players freedom on the pitch, and they loved it. Many reports have indicated how happy the Strasbourg players were, and that matters a lot to Chelsea because their squad is very young, and developing them is just as important as tactics. Then there's the Premier League side of it. Rosenior knows English football. He played in this league. He understands the pressure. He understands the pace of the league, the media, the expectations. At the same time though, his move to France shows that he can adapt, that he can handle different cultures and step outside his comfort zone. Now, another reason why people rate Rosenior so highly is because he has a clear idea of how he wants his football to be played. Even when he was a player, he was obsessed with why teams do certain things. He wasn't just playing on instinct, he was watching the shapes, the movement, and the patterns of play. Reportedly, growing up, he watched teams like Ajax and Barcelona with his dad, and he loved how they controlled the game. In fact, he admired Pep Guardiola long before Pep became, well, you know, Pep the manager. And that way of thinking shows up in his coaching. At Strasbourg, Rosenior built a team that wanted the ball. His teams were always attacking and very confident in possession. They didn't rush, they didn't panic, they tried to dominate games by controlling the space and the tempo. Most of the times he set up his team with a 3-back. The wingbacks gave width, the midfielders stay connected, and everything starts from the back. Even his goal kicks were planned. Short passes, players dropping into space, and always trying to keep the ball instead of just hoofing it forward. Now this guy is not like Amorim. His shape can change. Sometimes it was a 3-4-3, sometimes it was a 3-4-2-1. It shifted a lot during matches, but his ideas never really changed. I'm talking about his structure, the control he wants to see, and players love that clarity. According to multiple reports, the Strasbourg players felt very confident the moment they stepped onto the pitch because they already knew what the plan was, both with and without the ball. Now Rosenior, he demands a lot of work from his players because his teams press high, they hunt the ball, and if you don't run, you don't play. The expectations are that everyone defends, everyone presses, and everyone contributes. But at the same time, he gives players freedom when they have the ball. So you work hard for the team, and in return, you're trusted to express yourself. And that balance is very important, and Chelsea noticed this. They wanted a manager who is also obsessed with building from the back. The goalie, the center backs, the midfielders, they all play a role in starting the attacks. It's the same philosophy Rosenior enjoyed as a player back at Fulham, and it's something he's carried with him ever since. For a club like Chelsea, who has a lot of technical players and want to dominate the ball, this style makes a lot of sense. And when you put everything together, it's easy to see why Chelsea felt Liam Rosenior was a good fit. He wants to play modern football, he wants to attack, and he wants the young players to improve. And because he's young, hungry, and still building his career, it lines up perfectly with what the Chelsea owners want. They don't want a coach who's already done everything. They want someone who can grow alongside the team. They also clearly want a yes man that will do whatever they say, but that's a debate for another time. Pretty much everywhere Rosenior has been, players talk about him in a positive way. They say he's demanding, but he has a clear identity, and he also wants to make them better. Young players especially have loved working with him. Andre Santos, for example, who's a current Chelsea player but played under Rosenior at Strasbourg, says that Rosenior blends discipline with creativity. He asked him to do everything defensively, but then gave him the freedom to be himself when he won the ball. Another midfielder, in Tyler Morton, who played under Rosenior at Hull City, spoke very highly of the manager. Now, Chelsea's biggest issue over the last few seasons has been inconsistency. Constant changes, too many young players. In theory, Rosenior is supposed to bring structure, trust, and a system that the players believe in. Though you could make the argument that he himself is very young and inexperienced, just like the players. Inside the club, his name rose to the top of the list quickly after Maresca left, so the owners trust him. But Chelsea fans have the right to be a little bit doubtful, because this is going to be the real test for him. This isn't Ligue 1 football where nobody's paying attention. This isn't the Championship. This is Premier League football. High pressure, lots of money on the line, and you're playing the best of the best teams. Rosenior himself knows there are no guarantees. He knows football doesn't work like that, but at least the ownership knows what they're getting and the kind of football he wants to play. Only time will tell if this was the right decision. Now, the good thing is that Chelsea have a lot of talent. To see just how good this squad can be, you have to watch this video right here.